to the Mom Manual. Motherhood doesn't come with instructions, but it should. We are on a mission to highlight ordinary moms doing extraordinary things to build the ultimate mom manual. Every week, I have the distinct honor of speaking with women about the lessons they've learned and the inspiration that got them to where they are today. Join us for a conversation that will spark creativity, provide actionable tips, and celebrate the ordinary and extraordinary moments of motherhood. The Mom Manual starts now. Hello, everyone. This is Kara Williams with the Mom Manual today. I have an amazing, such an accomplished guest. I'm so excited to welcome to the podcast Nathalie Walton. She's a CEO and co-founder of Expectful and a mom of a cute little 3-year-old boy. Nathalie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
I am thrilled to have you. I was telling Nathalie, I love having all of our different guests, but those CEO businesswomen is where my heart is because that is who I am. So Nathalie, you have such an amazing, impressive history. Can you bring us through all your Silicon Valley days and kind of how you got to where you are today?
Absolutely. So it has certainly been a journey. I won't go back to the very beginning, but I before joining Expectful in 2020, I'd spent about 10 years in various roles in Silicon Valley at eBay, Google, and Airbnb. And in 2019, I was pregnant with my son. It was my first and my only pregnancy. And along the way, through midway through my pregnancy, I was told that I was having a high-risk pregnancy and I was at risk for preterm labor, which came as a shock to me and as a complete surprise.
Right.
It was something I think, most women, they try to do everything right, but there's some things that are out of your control. And it became one of those scenarios where I started living my pregnancy out in days where I was thinking, okay, it's day 144. I just need to get to enough days so that he's big enough to have a chance at survival. And as you can imagine, that living your life in days adds a lot of stress.
Yeah, and fear. Yeah.
In fear. And there was a point where I was going to the doctor's office 5 times a week, the hospital, to get the NST and the Doppler test.
Yeah.
And back in 2019, Instagram knew exactly what I needed at the right time. The algorithms changed a little bit, but one of the things that came across my Instagram feed was this app called Expectful. And I think it came across when I was in one of these non-stress tests at the hospital. And I saw that there's this meditation app for pregnancy. And it talked about, if you're stressed, try this. I'm like, whoa, hey, this is me. Wow. So I downloaded Expectful. And even though I've had a meditation practice before coming onto Expectful, there's something really special about the Expectful meditations. And I started using it. And within a week, my condition, it's stabilized. I stopped getting worse and I made it to term, which was something that none of my doctors thought was possible.
Wow.
So I actually I kind of didn't think anything about it. I went on and I had my baby and then I was on maternity leave. But when I was on maternity leave, I came across this pretty unique opportunity to become an advisor to Expectful. And I was just like, is that the app that I used in pregnancy? And I have a newborn. This just seems really relevant. And so I took on an advisor position during maternity leave, which it's not for the faint of heart, but I figured I was already not sleeping. So I'd have the extra time.
I told everyone she is ambitious. I love that. Just casually on your maternity leave advising companies.
But little did I know that advisory role, I did a good job in that role. And the founder of the company asked me if I would consider coming on board as the CEO and a late stage co-founder. So that's how I got to Expectful in September of 2020.
That's an amazing story because everything in your universe just collided, right?
Yeah.
You're having this hard pregnancy, you're listening to this app, you have this opportunity, and now you're the CEO. I mean, that you must have been putting something out in the universe. I believe it in all that stuff. That's amazing. So tell us, so that was September 2020. And then, what has transpired from then till now?
Yeah. So, it has been quite a ride. I came on board in September 2020. And one of the first things that I was told I had to do was fundraise. So I had never fundraised for venture capital, and I had never done that before in my life, but I managed to figure out how to do it. And I closed our seed round in my first 90 days on the job. So I raised $4.2 million of venture capital. And I did that with this vision that, so when I used Expectful, it was a meditation and sleep app for hopeful, expecting, and new moms. But
yeah.
I had just gone through this really tough pregnancy and this tough postpartum period. And there was just so apparent to me what a gap there was in our industry, or in this industry for supporting moms. Like, mothers just have no support. I mean, it's after you go to your 6-week checkup, it's like after you give birth, that's it.
Yeah.
And I needed a lot more than that.
Yeah.
And I mean, likewise, when I was struggling through my high-risk pregnancy, it's just like I had so many questions that I just like could never get answered in the OB's office. And I wanted to create a solution that would solve that. And so I wanted to take Expectful into this meditation app to a larger wellness app. And that's why I raised the venture capital, was to really make that vision a reality. And I think that was pretty successful in doing that. So over the last couple of years, we've added courses, everything from how to return to work after maternity leave.
I love that.
To breastfeeding courses. We have courses for moms, for Black mothers that, since there's a Black maternal health crisis, and Black moms are dying at a rate of 3 to 4 times that of white women. We have courses for Asian moms that are struggling with Asian hate. I mean, we just have so many courses that are designed for what you might be going through. For a period of time too, we also had live events, and we brought coaches onto the platform. That no longer exists, but because we wanted to create a more turnkey solution. Right. But really, we've evolved into creating this wellness platform. And we most recently announced in last month that Babylist acquired Expectful. And so it has been quite the journey. And I'm just so excited about our future at Babylist, because we're really heavily investing into creating more content and building the best platform that we can for supporting hopeful, expecting, and new moms.
I love this so much, because from starting this podcast, if you're a longtime listener here, you know I have 4 kids. My oldest daughter was born in 2012, which is really pre what I call Instagram, that really social sharing. And when I went, and it felt pre-Pinterest to me, I wasn't on it. So when I remember I wasn't even gonna have a baby shower. My friends were like, you need a baby shower. I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, it just didn't seem important to me. And now you have people, Pinterest boards, right? Decorating baby showers. And it was so talk about no support now. I mean, there really was no support 10 years ago, right? Now, at least we have different kind of communities, but still what I hear over and over and over, everybody who comes on this podcast says mothers are not supported after birth. So it's amazing to hear that you have this app. And I actually follow this app. It was originally called Beach Body Guide, which I think they've changed it. It's an Australian fitness app. And I started it and I really loved it. And it was fitness. And then they moved into nutrition and, supporting the whole woman. And I think this sounds very similar, but for that, you said hopeful, expecting, and postpartum mom, where there is such a gap. And even people who come on here, they're trying to fill it, but it's in small ways. It's in regional ways. It's like with live events, for example, but you can't get to scale on that. But what I really love about this app is that you said specifically you have things for Asian mothers, for Black women in maternal health, or going back to work. Like, it sounds, while it's broad, it's so personalized, and really you have a course for whatever kind of situation somebody's dealing with. And we at Dreamland Baby are huge Babylist fans. So that is super exciting. Tell us what that will look like now that you have this huge partner behind you guys.
Yeah, it is so incredible. And we just announced it. So like, we're still very much in the active stages of planning out this vision, but really, I mean, it's like, we're working to just create more access. So if you were to download Expectful now, you would see that there's like a 30-day free trial, which is before there was, a much shorter trial. And so we want everyone to just be able to experience, Expectful. And the hope is that we're able to significantly reduce the costs that we were able to do before. Because one of the things that was frustrating to me as a founder is just the resources, there's such a disparity in the resources that certain moms have. Like some moms have it all, but then other moms, while they really might need support, aren't able to afford a membership. And so if, as a founder of creating a product, I wanted it to be accessible for all, and Babylist is empowering us to do that. So that's like the number one, is like, how do we get this into as many hands as possible for like the right, if to no cost, is one. And then also just really investing in creating our content. Like Babylist makes such phenomenal content. That's like what I feel, I mean, they're known for many things, but that's something that they do really well. And they are infusing their genius into us of like, how do we create more content for the hopeful moms? Because that is something that I think an area that is so underserved from like a content perspective. And first try and the second trimester, and it's really building out that support for, you know, everyone in the ecosystem.
Yeah. And you know, I love that you said mindfulness saved your high risk pregnancy. Can you talk to us a little bit more about the health benefits of meditation for, you know, fertility all the way to postpartum?
Yeah. So there's some really incredible studies, but I think one of the things I'm most proud about as a founder were some of the studies that we published. So we worked with a couple of medical institutions, and we published 2 papers last year. One was with the Journal of Perinatology, and the other was with the Journal of Midwifery and Women's Health. And one of those studies, so I was a NICU mom, and for me, pumping and breastfeeding was so hard. And I mean, I'm not alone. There's 92% of women struggle with breastfeeding in the first week of life. But if you're a NICU mom and you've gone through a stressful delivery, like, you're more likely to suffer. And we did a study of pumping NICU mothers, and we saw that women who used Expectful, pumping NICU moms that used Expectful, produced 7 more ounces of breast milk a day. Like, can you imagine, as a newborn, I was making these vials, like 10 milliliters, and to actually produce a whole bottle, it would be, I mean, I couldn't do that. And so I think that's like one study, is you can produce more breast milk, but you can also, the other studies looked at, there's increase in skin to skin contact, there's reduction in postpartum depression. And I think that there's adjacent studies that show that there's reduction in preterm labor. And
this is all through meditating.
Through meditation. Yeah. Through a mindfulness-based practice. Yeah. I mean, there's just so many medical benefits of meditation that, in terms of calming your nervous system and reducing your stress, that just leads to so many other positive improvements in your health. There's also studies that show that using these practices reduce pain in labor, which is
who
like,
doesn't want that?
I mean, who doesn't want that?
Yeah. And, you know, meditation and mindfulness and yoga, I think, are things that, again, 10 years ago probably seemed a little taboo and maybe a little more Eastern type and not as accepted in Western culture. But I feel now it is becoming more and more, like, if you had asked me 5 years ago, oh, would you be doing yoga? I'd be like, yoga? No. When I work out, I want to be working out. But now I go to yoga, Pilates. I actually, talking about being a founder, went and got my hormones balanced, which is super interesting. And they told me that my adrenal gland was basically shot because I was in this high fight or flight so often, just different stressors of, you know, running a company. And so she said, I do not want you doing these P90X and these crazy workouts. You have to be doing yoga, and you have to be doing Pilates, and slow, you know, move your body, because that's going to be helpful. But these slow, you know, classes that have an integrated mindfulness in them. And so I am becoming more and more interested in this, but I still think the concept of meditation is overwhelming and people don't really understand it. So can you talk to us a little bit about how that works with your app? And then how is this app different for like a Headspace or anything like that? Today's episode was brought to you by Dreamland Baby. I want to introduce you to a product that hundreds of thousands of parents use to help their baby sleep, the Dreamland Baby Weighted Sleep Sack. Hi, I'm Tara Williams, host of the Mom Manual and founder of Dreamland Baby. When my son Luke was 6 months old, he was still waking up every hour and a half. I was completely exhausted, frustrated, and at my wits' end. Sound familiar? My solution: to create a gently weighted sleep sack that babies can safely wear to help them feel calm, fall asleep faster, and stay asleep longer. The award-winning, doctor-approved Dream Weighted Sleep Sack and Swaddle features our proprietary Cover Calm technology, evenly distributed weight from your baby's shoulders to toes, to help naturally reduce stress and allow your little one to feel relaxed and sleep soundly. If you're struggling to get your baby to sleep for longer stretches and go down easier, you're not alone. This product was a game changer for my son and can be for your family too. And right now, we've got a special discount exclusive to Mom Manual listeners. Use code MOMMANUAL15 at checkout to get 15% off site-wide. Isn't it time for you to invest in rest?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So a lot of people say like, I can't meditate, and I hear you. I mean, I first tried meditating when I was 17, and it was impossible. Like, you expect me just to sit down and close my eyes and breathe. Like, a lot of people just can't do that. So, I mean, I've spent really 20 years figuring out how to meditate and finding a solution that works for me. And I think it's all about finding a solution that works for you. So, I mean, there's so many types of ways that you can meditate. I think that there's one particularly for the postpartum mom that is really struggling with time. There are things that we have, like nursing meditations. We have pumping meditations, and like
describe, like, what does that mean?
Yeah. So these are meditations, and you should just check out our app. You should check out the Expectful app. But like, when you're nursing, we have meditations that you put in your ear pods when you're nursing. You put your baby on you, and you listen to like the calming meditations. And it's just like, it's a meditation that's designed for you to do while you're doing something else. When you're pumping, like, you are attached to a pump, unless you have a hands-free pump, but like, you're probably, doing exactly. And so like, these are meditations that are designed to talk to you and calm you when you're doing something else. There's also walking meditations. I mean, as a postpartum mom, you might go for a lot of stroller walks. So we have these stroller meditations. So there's like meditations that you can do while doing something else. My favorite type of meditation, and like, this has saved me in motherhood, are just these meditations that help prime you for sleep meditations. Because as a new mom, your mind is probably racing. And if you're like me, like, you're always checking your baby monitor, you're like, is my child breathing? And it's just kind of hard to turn off that, I guess, instinctive mind. And so that made sleeping really hard. Even when I could sleep, I was like, just so hyper that I couldn't sleep. And so we have these meditations, like, they're called cat nap meditations, that you can plug them in, and they calm you down, and you can listen to them 5 or 10 minutes. And oftentimes I'll fall asleep to that. And so I think meditation for the purposes of sleep, that's something I still use now to this day. Like, I've meditated 10,000 minutes in the last two years because I need it to fall asleep.
Okay. I'm so excited to download this. And you said there is a 30-day free trial.
It's just log in, and it's 30 days for free. So you can absolutely try it.
We will have that in the show notes for sure. But what I love about this is, I mean, I could ask you, but I imagine there is nothing else in the world available for a pumping meditation session, a stroller walking meditation session, right? Like, you're really meeting these women where they are and giving them something different than, a headspace, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I think you asked what differentiates us is we have several thousand meditations that are specific to you, from anything from, like, let's say you're going through IVF. Like, we have a whole cycle of IVF meditations. We have meditations for that 2-week wait period. We also have a meditation if you're going through gestational diabetes, and a meditation for every single day from the moment you find out you're pregnant to 100 days postpartum. There's like just no other app out there that speaks to you like that in pregnancy. And honestly, that's what made a difference for me in my pregnancy, was because even though I meditated, like, I think Expectful understood the stress that I was going through, like how I couldn't sleep at night. It just spoke to me in a way that made me feel seen and supported, in that, like, just a generic meditation that I could find on any other app would not make me feel.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. This reminds me of that what to expect when you're expecting. So going back to 2012, I bought the book because apps and things weren't available. And I was living in this little apartment with me and my husband, and we had this tiny little gym. Like it was the tiniest thing ever. And there was a sit down bike. And every day I would be so excited. I'd come home from work and I'd go on the sit down bike and I'd ride it for 30 minutes and I'd read the chapter. And it was like, this week you are, and then, the baby's the size of whatever. But I really enjoyed that so much because it was, I had like the weekly and then I had like some daily ones that I would do. And it really, it made me feel connected to my pregnancy, connected to a community. Even though I was reading a book, there was nobody there. I had just moved to a new area and I didn't know anybody. So it was a super lonely time for me, but I felt so connected through that book. And that is what I'm imagining with this app, where you can go listen to any meditation app, but I imagine your community is feeling connected because it's like this week and now this day. And now, you're going to pump now and you're going to walk now. So I love it. I'm super excited. I don't have there are no more babies happening in my life. I have 4. But I'm excited because as a mom, I still can't sleep, right? And you have the kids coming in and out. So I'm excited to download this for sure. So you said that there are different types of meditation if meditation isn't your thing. What does that mean?
Yeah. So, I mean, part of that is there, the stroller meditations. And I mean, they really actually don't seem like meditations at all, but there's also different things like mantras and affirmations. Like sometimes what we need, especially as new moms, are like affirmations of that, oh, you're doing a great job. And we have affirmations. There's also like things like sleep stories. And if you're having trouble calming your mind, like just listening to something else to take your mind off of life, that's a huge benefit too. So we have that in our app, and we also have shared stories, which are like stories listening to other moms, what they're going through. And sometimes it's just like hearing, maybe it's a mom that's struggling with postpartum depression. They talk about how they dealt with it. That's a huge benefit as well.
Yeah. So we know Babylist as the registry kind of powerhouse, if you will. So how does having, and if you said you just partnered and got acquired, so you may not know, but is this something that now is, we're going to see on the registry more? Like, how do you envision this getting into more hands through that registry partnership?
I envision us really kind of standing alone still. And so it wouldn't be something necessarily that you'd register for. My hope is that this can be free or very low cost. And so we just want people to get access and support users and women. So I think, fortunately, Babylist will empower us to stand alone and just continue to grow our presence and support our users.
That's amazing. I love that so much. Anything else like with the app that we should know about, or, for anyone listening that's like, oh, I'm thinking about it, like any other unique features that you want to share?
I'd say give it a try. I think meditation, there's even, I guess one thing that I didn't mention was like, there's breath work. Like if you find sitting by yourself for a few minutes is tough, try breath work. Like there's different types of breath work, and we have that. Our meditations start at 5 minutes. So you don't need a lot of time. And if it's something that you don't get right away, it's okay. It's okay to keep coming back. I mean, for me, I said I started trying meditating 20 years ago, and it took me probably 15 years to get it. And it's a great tool to have because when you are a first-time mom, I think one of the very first lessons you'll learn is that so much is out of your control. And the only thing that you can do to weather that storm is really to prepare yourself for is just control what you can, which is yourself. Yeah. And so for me, investing in a meditation practice has allowed me to keep better control of myself. And that has helped me navigate so many unexpected things that I've had to deal with, from my high-risk pregnancy to school being canceled all the time due to COVID to stomach bugs. It's just like, it's one thing after another. And so the earlier you can figure out how to handle the uncertainty within yourself, it'll enable you to handle whatever is in your way.
Yeah. And I think about my own motherhood journey. My oldest is almost 11 now, and I felt so, I would say, just like frantic and overwhelmed. And I had 4 kids in under 5 years. And so they're all really close in age, but when they were younger, it just felt so chaotic. And I think it's just, I am getting older, I'm getting mature, I'm getting the mom thing done a little bit better, but so much, I think, of my calm has come in the last like 2 years where I've really started leaning into yoga, and breath work is something I do. I haven't made it quite to the meditation. So I feel like that's the last frontier for me. So I'm really excited to try this app, and where I have those 5-minute windows, or if, before bed for sure, that's something that I want to integrate. But I do feel like it makes me a better mom, a better spouse. Like it just gives me that calm. And, one thing my brain was moving to, I had watched on Netflix the other night with my husband. Oh, it was called Take Your Pill, and it was Xanax Nation. And I know that we are in an opioid crisis. We are in a Xanax crisis as a nation, which is less talked about. And we're just being over medicated, right? Because it's for stress, anxiety, depression. And I wonder how much of this app do you feel like, now some people, clinical depression, need medication, but some people where they're on the edge, could they use an app and exercise? Like, where do you guys go into that mental health side of this at all?
We absolutely do. And I mean, I'm not a doctor, so I can't say anything is could this replace. But I think if you look at the research and you look at the studies, they show that this helps reduce signs of postpartum depression. This helps reduce anxiety. So, I mean, we do have clinical research that say that it helps reduce it.
Yeah.
So I think that that's like the best data that you can point to, and it's a sign that yes, you should probably invest in this, because if you can control your stress and you can control those outside stressors, then that improves your overall health and well-being.
Yeah. And I think we hear so often about, moving your body, if that's a hard workout or just going for a 20-minute walk, getting sunshine, getting your 8 hours of sleep, getting water. But I feel like the last unlock is this meditation and this calm and this breath work. And that I don't think is talked about as much, but I am hoping in the next few years, and maybe with the help of your app, getting this into all these new hands, that's something that can be just more. I mean, I'll give you an example. I was breathing the other day in the car. My husband and I went on a date, and we were talking about, I can't even remember what we were talking about now, but it was some kind of tense topic. And I started breathing very loud, and I didn't even really realize that I was doing it. And he was like, "What are you doing right now?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm doing my breath work," because I was like, "You're stressing me out." And I just like, I don't need to be stressed out right now. Like, we just had a wonderful date, and this topic is, I don't even remember, inconsequential. And so I was just like, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I've actually started teaching it to my 4-year-old. So I will say to him, patience, and he will say patience, and he'll do two deep breaths. And this is something I didn't do. My other children are 8, 9, 10. I didn't do it with them. And so they kind of, I don't want to say miss the boat, but like him and I just have this different connection. And so he's doing that. And I love to see when he, you can see in his eyes, he wants to grab a toy out of a friend. He will stop and he'll do a deep breath. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing to me. So I love this whole concept. And I think getting this into people's hands, and I especially love what you guys are doing in terms of having it be available to everybody. And it's not, I know we're subscribed to so many different things, and it does, start adding up. But I'm beyond excited to download this. Can you tell everybody, where they can find the app, where they can find you, where you guys are hanging out, where you have your community, all the places?
Yes. So I highly recommend following us on Instagram. We're a really fun account to follow. It's at Expectful, which is EXPECTFUL on Instagram. And then if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm at Nathalie with an H. So it's NATHALIE WALTON. That's Nathalie Walton.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Nathalie, for joining us today.
Thank you. This was an amazing conversation.